In today's video, we will record a little information, kind of info video about the BBE selection procedure, even though it's a bit early now, but some people are already researching and trying to prepare to kind of do everything in advance. And here we have the first semester student, Stefi.
Hi,
so
Stefania, nice to
yourself.
meet you.
And yeah, so she's studying BBE and she's in her first semester. And she went through everything that you're going to go through very soon. So you will kind of blink twice and it's going to be March. You'll blink 3 more times, it's going to be June, and the exam is going to take place.
Yeah.
But
it's also going to be over one day.
Yeah, one day it's going to be.
Yeah, one day.
The next day after the exam is the best one, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so we can go in kind of order of events. So the first would be your choice of WU studies, like how you chose it. Then the registration.
Okay.
And then the exam. And also the OSA before the exam that everyone's wondering about.
Yes.
And then, maybe the first semester impressions that you had.
Okay, so firstly, I chose WU because it's a really good university. Like, I'm from Romania, and even in my city, people were like, whoa, you got into WU, like, that's really cool, but you should be aware, like, it's really hard. So in general, it's a very good university, that's why I chose this uni. And also the international program BBE, which I believe is the one you are all applying to. It's a very nice program, like international wise. I was so surprised to see how many students came from different continents or all over the world, literally. And that's why I chose WU and especially BBE.
Yeah. And so when the registration opened in March, so around the beginning of March, you have to register yourself for the selection procedure. How did it go for you?
Well, first of all, I want to start by saying that I'm terrible at technology, and I was so scared of registering because I was thinking, what if I get something wrong? It's not that hard. Like, it's really okay even for me, and I'm not good at technology. You just need to register your personal data on WU's website, and then you need to pay the 50 euros. I would recommend doing it like right after the timeline opened. Like, when you can register in the beginning, do it just so you get like a thing off the list. But it's really manageable, really. I don't think anyone had problems with that part.
Yeah. Because people are afraid, what if it's super official or you need to submit a lot of documents? You don't. So when you register, there is no document requirements. Actually, you can, if you want, submit your school living certificate, but if you don't have it, it's all right.
Yeah.
Because you only need it in the admission. So if you get accepted, they will ask you for the English proof, if you need it, and your school certificate. So it's towards July, September,
we had it like from the 1st of August till 16th of September, I think. And if you don't have the documents, you can you can write an email to them, to the secretary, and they will give you another time slot for like personal issues or something. So the documents are really not a problem.
So don't be afraid to register. It's very simple. You just click next, and you fill in the fields, like your name, your email, and so on and so forth.
And your address. I think that's it.
And then people are wondering, what about the OSA? Because that's the next step after registration. That's what kind
of... So I have a unique experience with OSA. I was preparing for the exam since October, and I really knew the math part, the economics part. I really was prepared, and the OSA is in May, I think, right? It was in May.
You can do it whenever you want after you register, but it's until the 1st of June, I think, the deadline. It changes a bit throughout the year, so please check. But
so the exam is basically a combination of English, economics, and math. There are three different parts. You can take a break between the parts, because I was also wondering that. But the English part was interesting because you also had to consider grammatic part. And then you also have the text reading and multiple questions. Then the economics part, some students were surprised that not a lot, but some questions from the economics part were not in the economics book. But as you need to keep in mind, OSA really doesn't matter unless you're with 10 other people on the same spot, and WU really doesn't have more places. And the math part is easier than the exam, but it's different. I would say that it's different because it's more practical. You need to look at the graphs to calculate things. I expected it to be harder. So, for example, I had such a bad grade at the math part. Like, I think I got a 60, and I texted Maria right after the exam. I was like, Maria, what did I do? Like, I was so scared that I was gonna fail. And I think in the end I got over 90% at the math part in the actual exam.
Yeah.
So don't worry if you messed up like me. You can still get in even if you had a bad grade, and you can recover. I think you still have a month. You can check what you didn't know. But basically I think that OSA is just to give you a reality check. If you really didn't prepare till the exam, it's like now is the time.
Yeah, like a little signal, you know, to you that hey, maybe you should consider.
Yeah, like we are coming. Like it's coming.
Like a trailer, you know, into the exam.
Oh yeah, like a horror movie trailer for me, but not for everyone.
And also regarding the economics questions that weren't in the book. So on the exam they cannot do that. On the exam it will not happen that you have something outside of the book material.
Yeah.
So don't worry. But on this it was just like some basic, I think it was like a very
progressive taxing or something. I still remember it because I was reading question. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But with common sense you can solve them. With common sense. And if you have like an economic, if you read the book and you got the concept, like it's alright really. But the questions from the book were so easy. Like so easy. But don't fool yourself because the
exam is coming.
Yeah.
And also regarding what you mentioned, you can take a break between the parts. So you have a 50-minute time limit, but it's not together 50 minutes. It's 50 minutes for like all 3 parts, but it's split up into the 3 parts. So like it's not 50 minutes and you can do whatever you want in the 50 minutes. For example, you can have 15 minutes for English, then let's say 15 for econ, maybe 20 for math, or so to say.
I think that's actually how it is. 20 for math, 15 econ, 15 English. And also one thing that I was surprised is that in English we had 2 parts. As I said, the grammatic part, which was I think the first, and the second part was the text understanding. And if you went from one part to the other, you couldn't go back. You could,
that's weird.
Yeah, as far as I remember, I think we need to double check that. But I remember that you could go back to the questions in the grammatic and text part, but not between the parts.
Okay, makes sense.
Because I was so certain that I was going to start with the grammatic part and then I was going to start with the text, but people were like, no, like you have to do the text first and then the grammatic part.
Yeah, so be aware that because, let's see, 15 minutes for English, some people just run out of time immediately. Because they were thinking, I have stuff plenty of 15 minutes.
I prepared so much.
You have to double check if you can go through the sections or not.
I do remember that I couldn't, but that might not be. I don't like.
Yeah, it's been a while, you know. Like once you get in, you just like blank.
It's been a while, and the final year of high school, I feel like the last part. It's been a while, okay, so you should check it. Don't rely on my information.
Yeah. For that part, yes. So
don't hate me if I didn't say something right, guys. Thank you.
Yes. And then for the math part, I think it cut off around that time because basically we had a little technical issue. So basically for the math part, what were your experiences with the OSE math part?
I think it was much easier than the exam, and it was a lot of applied math. I think you can say it, like you need to look at the graph, calculate like the probability, just literally calculate things. And I was not thinking that it would be like that. Me being used with the exam type questions, I wasn't prepared for it to be in a way that easy. So I really just skipped through the questions, put random things, and
lovely.
Yeah, because I was like, they're not that hard. I have 20 minutes. It's all right. Well, for me it was not all right, but it doesn't matter that for you.
I mean, basically, because you texted me after Maria got 60%, I remember like caps, all caps.
Yeah, because in the simulation, like for all subjects, I got an 87 or a 90, and having a 60, it was like, what? Because then I was like, Maria, are the tasks from your course actually easier than the exams? And I was, no, though as I was just that easy.
It wasn't, So also in the exam, don't try to overthink, but also read the questions really carefully.
Yeah.
So basically, if you have a condition saying that this is a graph of the first derivative, or this is the graph of the function itself, it really will make a difference on the correct statements. What are correct, what is not correct.
Yes,
correct.
It will make.
Yes. So read. So even if you think you're trying to save time by skipping the conditions of the task, you're not. You're just basically losing points. That's important to mention. And the time it does, people think it rounds out quite fast, but
usually I feel like at WU in general they try to put they try to put a lot of pressure on the time, like even if no, really, even if in your first semester you will have like some exams that will be in 20 minutes with like 10 questions, multiple choice questions and everything, and that's how it works, because you know the material, but they want to see how well do you know that. Do you know it in your sleep?
yeah. Like, so because you don't really have time to think. Like, it's like it's either you know it or you don't. You cannot really make stuff up as you go because time pressure. And also regarding the OSA grade, because on WU's website it states that it can be decisive in case too many applicants take the same spot. But this year, so as far as I heard, there were 4 people on the wait list with the same spot, and all 4 of them got in. So maybe if it's just like, let's say 2 to 4 applicants, it's fine, and we don't use it as a decisive factor.
Yeah.
And so don't stress about it too much, because what matters is the exam and how well you do it. So just focus on getting in the safe range of the exam, not to have the stress of the waitlist, for example.
Yeah.
But they still have the right to do so. For example, if 10 applicants get the same spot, they can always use the OSA if they state that they can do that. So don't stress too much, but...
Yeah, I also remember there was a guy in my group that had a 90% on the OSA and he didn't get in the final exam. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, again, what matters is the exam simulations from ARIA. That's what is really relevant for the exam, but not the OSA.
Yeah. So still prepare, and if you do really bad, it's a signal that, hey, maybe you should study a bit more. Like, do use it as a kind of like
wake-up call.
Yeah, like a reality check of your knowledge, but don't put too much pressure on it. Because some people were super stressed, and I made a post about it that say, hey guys, please don't stress out, it's fine.
I get it. When you are in that situation, you get really stressed. I was also really stressed, but it's really not that deep.
Yes.
I can say it now after,
after you got the needle.
It's not that deep, guys, it's alright.
Yeah. And then after the OSA, you're basically much done with the kind of mandatory things you have to do after you paid the fee and you took the OSA. You also have 2 mock exams. They're not mandatory, but they're really advised for you to take.
Yeah, they're really helpful because, again, I don't like using technology, and especially when I found out the exam is online, I was, ugh. But the simulations are not, the mock exams, are not like for the exam, they're for the system. The questions you will get in the mock exams are not like the questions in the exam, like they will give you 2 + 2 is 4, true,
on the
false,
first
true,
mock,
false.
it's going to be very random.
Yeah.
But the second one is a bit better, but it's only 6 questions. It's not going to be 33 questions, it's going to be 6. So just keep it. You can look at it, but just don't put too much faith in the second mock exam.
No, for this year, for my year, they had no correlation whatsoever. Like no correlation. Yeah. Maybe to some extent you could say, they're from the same subject, but they're not like the exam questions. And I remember people that didn't get in 2 years ago, they were like, don't rely on the mock exams. Like, don't think like, I did well on the mock exam, 6 questions, I will get in. Like,
guys.
You did well, congratulations, but it's like the USA. You did well, congratulations, you did bad, it's not. A factor. And they're also 2 days before the exam, or like really short time span, like 2 weeks.
I think 2 weeks or so, 2 or 3
not
weeks.
2 days, 2 weeks, sorry.
Yeah, 2 days. A bit
no, 2 days, it was like days? No, 2 weeks.
Yeah. And also, but take them so that your platform works. Just make sure that the laptop can run the platform vice flow. Because if you don't, and if you didn't have any proof of taking the mock exams, and you didn't take them and you can see it, if you have any technical issues, they will just probably take more time to respond to you, because they will send you to the back of the queue. They say on the website, they say that, hey guys, if you didn't, if you weren't responsible enough to look at it yourself, then what can we do? So we just have to wait until we take care of everyone else who actually tried to set it up.
And about the technical issues, the people who are gonna do it on the Mac device, be really careful, because there were so many people last year that the camera, I don't know how it connects, I don't know how it works, but the camera from the Mac connected like to the phone, and they got disqualified from the exam because.
Yes,
you get what I say.
They cannot see. Basically, you have this kind of, pairing feature. I don't know how it's called because I don't have a Mac. But, so just make sure to either turn off your phone completely or turn off the Bluetooth whatever feature that it has for that not to happen, because otherwise their camera is going to be kind of black, because it's just going to be your phone that lies on the table. So it's going to be like a black screen for them. And they cannot prove if you're...
And they will automatically disqualify you.
Yes.
There's no question, you're out. And you don't want that. But for I don't think there were any other technical difficulties in my year. I didn't hear of any.
I heard about one when people submit the exam and WU cannot see their score. It's blank for them. It shows us if they didn't take it. So basically, I don't know why it happens and how it happens, but at least two people reached out to me saying that yes, they submitted the exam, and WU sees it as 0 questions marked, so they cannot really offer them any spot or any retake. But there is no retake, by the way. It's just one time, one day, and yeah. And yes,
maybe don't tell them because the anxiety. No, there are no technical questions, like technical difficulties, guys. It's
all right most of the time. It's fine. And also don't touch the trackpad of the laptop, because if you touch the trackpad with too many fingers, I think it starts to pop up like a red message that you need some kind of navigator password or something like this, because sometimes it happens to people because you have the little rectangle thing on the laptop. I think if you touch it too much, like with try to zoom in or something, or I don't know what people do, but somehow it just pops up like a red message. Just have your mouse, just be chill. It should be all right. Technical difficulties are not that kind of frequent, but they do happen. So just you're aware of, we just saying that you're aware of them.
Yeah, take it as a sign if it does happen.
Yes, destiny.
Because
honestly, if you submit an exam and they cannot see the scores, there is nothing you can do.
There's not your fault, but it's their fault.
Yeah, but maybe the platform, or try to press the submit button a few seconds before the time actually runs out. Maybe that helps a bit.
Yeah, I did that also just to be sure that it's submitted.
Yeah, because in the last, let's say, minute, you will not have any error moments saying, hey, I can resolve this whole task in this 1 minute. So just submit it and just not to have the stress of... Yeah. And then...
Damn. Take it as a sign.
Okay, I'll just cut it out or just leave it in for person. So, this is a symphony of WU.
And the wind, the sounds of the WU at the shop.
It's like the students' brains after the exam, just playing like a music. Yeah, so we covered the technical difficulties, and also you mentioned that typing is really really useful.
So you cannot write on a piece of paper in the exam, you cannot use an iPad or anything, you just have the computer. You can't use an iPad, right?
No.
So basically what I was surprised is that everyone was trying to draw with their mouse. Type, guys, just type, because it takes so much less time. And in my year there were a few people who actually typed in. I typed in, and in the math part especially, it helps you a lot because you just do the equations faster. And what I do recommend, because it's a big change from having a thing on the paper and typing everything, and it's really hard. I think since March or April, I started doing all the things on the laptop. I gave myself a month that I could transfer to the laptop and touchpad and everything, so you can practice for it. And in the exam, that's not a disadvantage for you, because it's actually a time advantage compared to the other people who didn't practice there. It would be really helpful. Just type and practice typing. Although it sounds a bit stupid, practice it, because when there's time pressure, you just want to know what you're doing.
Technical stuff.
Yeah, it's a really good advantage, time advantage.
Also, this is the technical side that we covered. So once you take the OSA, you take the mock exams, at least one of them, maybe if you don't have the time for the second one, at least one. The first one, because you have 2 or 3 days to complete it. Then you have the actual exam. And you can just briefly tell how it was for you. Was it difficult? What surprised you? Your experience, tips and tricks?
So I would like to start by saying that this is my personal experience. It's not a universal experience.
Yeah.
For me, the exam, I was so nervous because I really, really wanted to get in, despite getting in other backup plans, but I really wanted to go to WU. And I waited for the exam to start. It started, and it starts with the economy part. Now, when I heard that we had an economic book, an economy book, I was like, okay, I'm gonna study for it, I'm gonna learn it. I swear I learned every page there. I was studying before the exam. What I did was take every chapter, put it in ChatGPT, and be like, give me 300 questions about this chapter, true or false question. The exam is true or false, everything.
Yeah, it's multiple choice, you don't have to write.
And there is a chapter, the 6th chapter, accounting.
Wonderful chapter, everyone loves it.
Accounting. And there are some formulas, and I learned the formulas, but it's not enough to learn the formulas. Understand the formulas, understand what's going on, because the economic part had so much accounting compared to what I was expecting, and I think everyone had that shock.
Yeah.
It was basically math. just
math everywhere.
Math. Just trust me, guys. It was math. I expected it to be like theory, like what is the ideal inflation and inflation below 2% or something like that, true or false. There were some questions like this, but the main thing was accounting. And now I understand, meeting the professor who wrote the book, and you know, I'm like, okay.
That's why. But that
I
wasn't
see.
the case in the previous years, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
accounting wasn't such a big thing before. Like,
Now
in one
it
of the
is.
year, there were like no questions about accounting, I think, or just one. But in your year, they decided to go all in with the accounting
Yeah.
part. It makes sense because it's an economics university. You will have accounting courses
Yeah.
as you go. So yeah.
For these types of question, what I'm talking about, the math part, Maria has in the economic part harder questions. The last 2 or 3 questions where they have a balance sheet, profit and loss statement, cash flow statement. Just practice that as ChatGPT. Like that, ChatGPT will be your best friend to do things like that. We also had questions about variable and fixed cost and breakthrough formula.
Yeah. So math. Yeah, it's gonna be basically math in disguise. You know, it's gonna be economics,
Yes.
but like it's like a little cape.
And what helps, it's first of all, understand every concept. I think you will hear this a lot, but you need to understand the idea, not just memorize. Like I was used to in high school, okay, I'll just memorize this. No, you need to get it. You need to understand. And Maria has this economic theory part, which is a bit more than the book.
Yeah. Especially price elasticity.
Guys, it's very useful for me. For me, it was useful because I remember this task. I remember the formula that you gave about the breakthrough formula.
Break even.
Yeah, breaking through formula. And it was so useful for me because I didn't have to think so much how to do that. Again, you can do it. I had friends that literally just read the book once in the economic part.
Nice.
They are really smart here. Like really.
Photographic memory, you know, like Mike Ross.
Yeah, but they just read the book once and they got in it. They got in with a nice grade. And you just, for some people work, for some people it doesn't.
Yeah, it's an interview with one person, so it's her experience and how done for her. Maybe for many others, but there's going to be like different cases.
Yeah, I also didn't study economics in school. I had 1 year, but basically didn't do anything. So I had to start from zero, and it was the case for math as well. Because in my school, we didn't do like half of the things that Maria has in the course, because it's a different system, different type of thing, and depends on the teacher. So it's my personal experience.
Yeah, of course, yes. Because some schools cover, let's say, differentiation, some never touch differentiation. Some people have binomial distribution and statistics, some people don't. So you really look at the topic list and see how much of it matches and how much you have to learn by yourself.
Yeah, but for example, people from Germany, they just got in because it was the same as Abitur. The people from Austria, they had like a harder Matura, let's say. For me, it was like, what is this? The first thing I did is like, forget everything I learned at home. Coming from an Eastern European part, I was like, no. Erase everything, just try to learn it that way. Like their way, do it.
So for the math part, so of course you need to know the basics of topics. And if you feel like you don't really know the topic that well because you don't have it in school, just put an extra effort into it.
Yeah.
You have to equal itself out because yes, in Austria and Germany very similar to Abitur and Matura, so they have it a bit easier, but not because it's easier in general for them, it's just because they covered it before you did. You know, like they still had to work for the knowledge, they still had to learn it. But school,
they did it in high school.
Yeah, just a different timing,
Yeah, I remember the probability chapter. For us, the probability chapter was like, okay, number of favorable cases divided by number of all probable cases, and that was it. When I saw
surprise,
like the combined probability of event A and like conditional probability, I had to study so much for that chapter just because my mind couldn't get the concept, and I had to learn everything like by myself and from the course. And I remember like searching. Also, what I did is like search for additional material, just because I didn't get it. They have some great statistic books from like Cambridge or something, probability, and I loved it. They were like 3 chapters of probability. Just did it binomial probability, normal probability, just what I did because that's my way of learning if I work a lot. And since you already had some more time, because let's say in October you have a bit more time to actually learn the topics really thoroughly, but let's say some people start learning in June, so hello to everyone hello to everyone who starts learning in May to June. So in that case you would need to really prioritize. Let's say you have
a list of topics and you see that maybe one or two, you don't know them, right? You hate them or you hate them. Just focus on the ones that you know, really focus on, so you get the points for those. And the 2 remaining or 3 remaining ones, just try either to guess it or to prepare at least a bit just to get the overall concept. But that's also what I do with some of my exams. I just focus on what I know and what I can do good.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Yeah, and then if you leave out one question, you guess one question, it's a universal experience. Everyone at some point. I think when you have the time pressure, you might guess some stuff.
In the exam, at the math part, they put some questions specifically so you don't have the time to do them. Like no one solved it. I remember for every question there are five or six. 5
statements.
5 statements. In one exercise, it was just equalities with absolute values, inequalities with absolute values, the square root of something, and it would take so much to do that, like equations with 2 absolute values or of another equation. You can't do it like just type it or write it.
Or just keep the task.
Yeah, I did that because I remember Maria said, they try to put it especially in the beginning, so you use a lot of time on that. So I skipped it, and that question I just put randomly, like false, true, no logic thing behind it.
Yeah,
it's all right. You can do that.
Yeah. Just basically make sure not to leave anything blank, because then you have 0 points. But if you guess at least all true or all false or use your intuition, you get some partial points. There's a partial point grading system for that.
Think that there is like a 50% probability that you get it right.
Yes.
Like literally 50%.
Yeah,
you need to be lucky sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, the stars have to align if you're playing the guessing game, really.
Yeah.
But try to solve as much as you can, as many questions as you can. And
the ones you know, and the ones that you don't know, leave for like the end.
Yeah, flag them, because I think there is a flag option.
Yeah. It's so like useful in the exam.
And then the English part. So the English part, what I've heard is that they catch you in the small stuff. So as you mentioned, it is theirs.
Yeah, it's like, and I remember like a question, it was something like this: I have studied sufficiently well for the exam, and I have studied sufficiently good for the exam. Things like this. You shouldn't be scared of the English part. It's okay if you studied everything for the exam in English, you know it. But what I would say is focus on conditionals, focus on present tense, past tense, things like that. A thing that they did that I was so annoyed with, we had a task with math.
Yeah.
Obviously, like math. There was a diagram of how much percent of the total income goes to some things, and there were some questions. The total money gave to category A and category B of products is equal to a quarter of the total quantity. And the categories were like 8.63 and like 5.83 or something like that. And they just wanted to see if you know the term of a quarter.
Yeah, nice.
But you needed to like actually do the math in that part. But sums, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not everywhere, like not every question is like that, but yes, you can expect
just one question, one question like that. But
and we can move.
Just to prove people this is not a green screen.
You just did that too. That was me in the airport, when I was late. I was just going like this. And we can move a bit here because we were saying, a bit to the side. So basically you were telling about the little diagram in the English part. Basically you'll have a bit of math everywhere, like a sprinkle on top. So for the economics, for the accounting questions, the formulas that you need to know, it's math, and the explanations behind them are also math related.
Yeah.
And so in the English, for the text part, I thought you said it was pretty fine.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that part is still there.
Yeah, but also remember, if you're taking the Matura or the Abitur, you're all right, like you're fine. If you don't, it's okay. You just need to study a bit more. That's it.
And also, if you take the Matura in the EU, I think it counts that you don't have to take the IELTS test. The passing grade on your school certificate should be enough. Yeah,
I think so. But I don't know. I needed to take the Cambridge exam for this. I don't know.
Oh, you did have, but you're from the EU, no? From Romania? Should be. Did you have English in school?
Yeah, but
Hello.
I was at a bilingual class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you have
But then you still had to take the Cambridge test.
Yeah.
I didn't know that because I thought because it states on the WU's website, and it's the experience for most students, especially from Austria, that if you have a passing grade in your English subject in school, you don't need to take any additional tests.
I already had the Cambridge because I knew like the Cambridge exam,
you-
because I knew every university requires an English
Oh,
certificate.
okay, but did they ask it to you? Did they ask you?
They
at
asked
WU?
for a language certificate, and I brought up Cambridge. I don't know. I
Okay.
never thought that. I never saw it as a possibility.
Well, it was. So
Really?
yes. So if in case you want to save some time and maybe money, if you're from the EU, it should be fine. But still, even
Check
if they
the requirements.
check the requirement, because it might differ from school to school. I mean, if you have English as a full subject, but bilingual class. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Then check that, because like your worst case scenario, you can just take it when they tell you. So for example, if you get accepted, and you go with your school certificate and you say, hey guys, this is the requirements on your website, and they say you, hey, take an additional test, you can always just take it within the time period that they give you. They will be, I think, very lenient towards you because it's what stays on the
No,
website.
they're really understanding regarding the documents and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
But the exam is where the understanding disappears. It goes bye at the window.
They're not people anymore.
Just
like
numbers. Yes.
They're just math.
Yeah, like
Mathmakers.
Yeah. So as a summary of everything,
I would like to say it's my personal experience,
Yes.
first of all. Like,
Yes.
it's my experience, guys. I don't know. Everyone here, I was so shocked. Like, some people didn't study for the exam at all. Because I asked, I expected everyone to be like, oh, the exam was so hard. We're like, oh, it was so easy.
yeah.
For me, it was not easy.
Because it depends also on your educational background,
Yeah.
on how stress resilient are you. And also, like, one person told me, he was like, actually, I wasn't stressed about the exam, but watching your videos made me a bit more stressed. But I still got in. I was like, I would much rather hear this and say, hey, I got a bit too stressed, I studied a bit more and I got in, than to say, hey, I underestimated. Sorry.
Should we move that? Because they need to take pictures.
Yes.
Should we move?
Oh, okay, we can just wait.
We can do like documentary style.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Hello. So.
The people are looking at us.
Yes, they look so much. Because I just.
And I mean, my first year, like it's.
I stare back at them, They stare at me, I stare back.
I don't like that's the Slavic genetics. I'm just like.
yeah. But I think they're just curious.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so summary. So for the English part, just practice reading comprehension if you want, like business English Cambridge, but don't stress out too much. If you know English, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Just think of a strategy. Are you going to go through English one faster and maybe skip some details to have more time for math? Or are you going to focus more on English to have more points and feel more comfortable maybe guessing some questions in math? Yeah.
The economics part, just understand the concepts, take your time. Like, I started studying for economics in April as well, so I had my time. So I knew, okay, I have time to revise everything, and by June I knew all the topics. But you may still get surprised because the questions are like so practical.
Yeah. And this is my my student. It's Luca. He's a student from the year before you.
Isn't he the guy from the webinar?
Yeah, it is a guy from the webinar.
I asked him so many questions. I was so annoying. Sorry.
So yes, because we're on campus, so you see some people that we know.
He should join and be like, hey, what's your experience?
Yeah, 1 second. So we had a little chatty break with one of my students from the year above you, so he's in his second year. So this campus is like a hotspot for meeting people that I know, and you also know him from the friendly webinar from last year.
Yeah, the friendly webinars are really nice.
Yeah. It was like a Q&A webinar with the students from last year who took the exam, just to maybe calm down the applicants and also kind of share useful information about the experience.
Yeah,
what
and
we're
then
doing
the
now,
poor
basically.
people from like the first year are getting spammed. I remember texting Smith like
Yes.
crazy. Smith, what is going on? Like, I'm begging you, please help.
I remember when they said that you need to know applied math, and you were like, what is applied math, Maria? I'm just like, it's math that you apply in real life situations, it's economic contexts.
And I
you're
got
like, okay.
so stressed. I got so stressed by it.
Yeah. But in the end of it, basically applied math just means that if you have a topic called systems of linear equations, you can just expect it to be applied in a business concept, let's say a shop that sells 2 products, something like that.
Yeah, they will be like, the demand for when the demand where the price is 10, the it's like 25 when the price is 2, the demand is like 100. What is the demand function? And then they will, that's it. That's the equations. That's the applied math that I was so scared of.
Yeah, you were like, what is applied math?
Yeah, because I thought they were gonna, like, I was looking at some yapping.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But basically, don't be afraid of this word. It just means it's math that kind of relates. And actually, it's nice for thinking, like how useful it is. Sometimes.
It is useful, but not in an exam. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that in uni. Just let me be, please.
Yep. And also for the math part, just from the kind of formal perspective, because I basically look at the topic lists every year that WU posts. They change them very slightly. So, for example...
Logic, yes.
So the normal distribution that's not taught in many schools. It's taught mostly, maybe in Austria and also some other places, but not everywhere. They changed normal distribution to logic. And it's supposed to make it easier and more international student friendly. So that question, how was it for you, the logic question?
I started laughing again because I expected logic. It was like, what? But basically, I feel that the logic part for them is sufficient conditions and necessary conditions.
Yeah.
That's it.
Implications.
They will have it nicely covered. But I remember it was about a birthday party and 5 people. And it's like, okay, so we have this birthday party, and if Ben is going, that was the first statement. And then they have like, if Ben is going, like Anna and Fabian are not going, if Anna is sick, I don't know, Cornelia is not going, things like that. But you really need to keep your mind open for that statement. I feel like for us, because it was the first year, we didn't know what to expect. I was like, and I remember like the last question being like, okay, so Fabian is going to the party, true or false? And I was like,
tell me. So basically for those statements, implications and like little arrows and the letters,
that's the fundamental thing.
The fundamental things, but don't expect it to be super technical, because the purpose of it is to make it more accessible, let's say more understandable to more people. So it shouldn't be too difficult. Just one thing to keep in mind: know the difference between or, that's inclusive, that's standard or, that this or that, it means that both can happen at the same time. And there is an exclusive or called XOR, and that means that both can happen at the same time. So pay attention to which or is it. Just a little tip and trick that I've learned from the experience of last year students, because that part confused them, the or part, because if English is not your first language, or can be
like
translated.
Most cases here.
So be careful there.
And also about the math part, you will see that if you really understand the concepts, the first semester of uni will be super alright with you. Like it's very repetitive with everything, especially the economics and math part. They're like just taking it from the beginning again, maybe, but they can do it hard. They can do it hard.
They can take the same
They're
concepts,
so talented at this.
Like
so hard, you won't even know what you're talking about anymore.
But it's going to be the same differentiation topic, for example.
Like differentiation. And then you get some task and you're like...
And basically, so if you study for the exam really well, it's going to pay off in the first semester. Because business and society covers some of the book that you have to read. Like the same professor actually teaching the course, like one of the professors.
And the other one is so nice. And like there's... one thing that I was so shocked that is that teachers here are really nice. Like they treat students like people coming from an educational system where, like, for me it was not the case. It was like, wow, that's crazy. Like teachers in some classes are like, okay, contradict me, like, I don't know, just give me a hypothesis, we can talk about it, we can share it. And I'm like,
and also sometimes you get called Miss Kremneva, for example, so by your surname. That was a really kind of culture shock, because so it's very nice. They're very respectful, usually very understanding, but yes, they can make the exams a bit harder or time pressuring, but that's university, you have to, that's how you differentiate between people who get a higher grade and a lower grade, I think.
But I feel like the entrance exam was actually harder than because the time pressure, because it was a thing that you never did before. But you will see when you will get in, it will be really nice.
And there's also less pressure on the midterm, let's say, for math subjects here, because you're already in the university, they can't really kick you out. Because that's a question I get asked a lot, can they kick you out? They can't. So, I mean, unless you do something, I don't know what you do, but let's say you plagiarize your whole bachelor thesis, for example. But even if you fail an exam, there is a retake for most subjects. You can just take the whole course again, up to 4 to 5 times.
Which is so crazy. Indeed, you have to wait 1 year before retaking
you have to wait, maybe lose some time, maybe study a bit longer, not 3 years, but maybe 3.5.
You take an extra semester.
But still fine, like it's...
I have lots of people who are retaking, for example, the business and society class because they wanted a higher grade.
It's pretty
like, what? You can do that. And people are actually doing that.
But that's a mistake because actually as the years go by, they make the studies also a bit harder.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, because...
Yes, they do.
Yeah. For example, for the midterm math exam, I talked to a student of mine who took the midterm a year or two ago and also taking it now for a better grade, or there's something happened with your accreditation, whatever. Basically, she told us that the previous exam, it was fine, it was chill. She's a mathematician, so she really knows
like
math.
At QM?
Like she's taking QM, but she studied maths in university before, so she knows pretty well. And she said that exam was super chill. So for this year, she didn't even study because she was like, I know this stuff, I will pass.
Yeah, this year.
This year, no, you had to think.
No, you didn't have to think. You had to pray.
I
would say that. Like for some tasks, I was just, when I opened the midterm, I was like, oh,
nice.
Close it back. That's not my problem. Like they can make it hard if they want to, but I feel like here there are a lot of smart people in this whole academic environment. It's really nice. It really makes you feel like you're really smart sometimes.
Also for business society, some of my friends, because I know like some of my students who are studying for this on the second year, they took the business society for a better grade, but then they regretted it because
they got a lower grade.
They got a lower grade, yes.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So be like, don't try to play too much. You know, it's more work for you. If you're certain you're gonna get a better grade, maybe. But if not, then.
But first, you need to get like in.
Yeah, first you need to get in. And coming back to that, after a little 10-minute break. So yes, keep in mind, I also made a post about all the changes in the topics. For example, the differentiation topic before was a bit more emphasized. But now the two differentiation topics, like the optimization, differentiation in itself, got merged into one topic. But also differentiation is asked throughout other, let's say if it's a function question about any function, they can put a derivative there just because they want to.
Oh, and one thing that I was so surprised, in every exam in the math part, they have the exercises in order of the chapters they said on the website. Like, you know, the first one you're going to get is like logic, the second is numbers, the third one is linear equations, the fourth one, and so forth. Like, it was so nice because I knew what to expect. I was like, okay, I really know probability. The last ones I will know certainly, so I can use another extra 2 minutes for this. So again, you need to have a really good strategy for the exam. I think that's the most important thing besides knowing math.
Yeah, besides, of course. And apart from those two little changes, and also elementary algebra now got split into like a little extra. Basically, elementary algebra has all the calculations that you need to do, but also inequalities was a subtopic. And Stefania mentioned the question. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the video, the 40 minutes. But there was an elementary algebra question with, like, as you said, modules, square roots. Took you a while to solve. Would be impossible to do.
I just didn't solve it.
Yeah, you can just guess it. And there, it was a bit more maybe calculation heavy compared when you just elementary algebra by itself as a separate question, and that's it. But those changes are minor, so you still have to know the same topics, kind of, but maybe in a slightly different order. Maybe some gets compressed into one question, some gets.
But still, math is math, regardless of the topic. You know math, you know the exam. And also, one thing that I was not sure of when it was my admission time, because the Maria simulation mock exams. Sorry, English is not my first language, guys. Maria's mock exams are like really similar to the exam, and I'm not just saying that because she's here, but no, they really are similar, because I was not super confident of how similar they are, or if the exam is going to be harder or easier. But it's really similar. I feel like the difficulty level, it will be like that. Maybe a bit harder in economics. Like you have the two tasks, which are
because basically I have two parts for math, the easier one and the harder one. But I will also make a second part for economics at this point, because if they have 4 counting questions, that's kind of unheard of. It never happened before, so how can you predict it? Because it's one chapter that's in 4. It shouldn't happen like that. So I'll make a second part of it for econ as well, just so people know that maybe it can also be calculation. But maybe the same changes, you never know. Because it changes throughout the years.
But if you do the mock exams, you're fine. You're really fine. And I did one in April, and I did a whole mock exam, I think, in May, and then I just redid the mock exams, ChatGPT again. Hey, give me more functions. And if you don't know a topic or something, just really text Maria. It's she explains things. Maybe you are you have social anxiety, you don't want to ask in the webinar, just text, and then she will have the question in the webinar, she will explain it.
Yeah, don't worry, because also I get spammed a lot in May and June. Like if you text me, it's just one more question, it's fine. Like I will maybe take a bit of time to reply because I have other messages, but it's fine. And so that's for math. I think I wanted to say one more thing, but what was it? Which thing did I want to say?
I think
yes.
oh no, it's okay.
Okay. So so just prepare, study. It will pay off. And also you can use math anywhere that you apply for economics. Because Stefi was texting me about other universities, like let's say the Netherlands University, BVI, and I was like, oh, that's good for you, you know?
Yeah, because I studied for the math exam, and for backups, also advice of mine, just look for backups, start looking for backups, I think now, whenever this video is posted, for the Netherlands and everything, just so you don't have the pressure of the exam, like you don't have that much pressure, and a good option, and a good option for the for Vienna and business, it's the BVI, in which there is a banking and finance program, and I got in without like studying at all, just for the math part from Maria. And also in the Netherlands I had to take a math exam, and I didn't study at all for the math exam, just Maria's math, and math is math, as I said. And I got in there as well just because I had like this great foundation, and learning for the admission exam is actually quite useful in life as well, because again I got into other programs, and in the first semester again I knew the concepts. I'm not saying that I'm super good, who knows, I didn't find my results yet, but you know, you get the concept. So study for yourself first, and then for the exam. I think that's a
good approach actually, because knowledge stays with you no matter what, and you might think, okay, maybe if I change my major it's not going to be useful, but it becomes useful in the most, let's say,
you never know,
random situations.
You never know.
And everything, any other entrance exam apart from if you compare it to BBE, it's going to be like a piece of cake. So anything else is not going to be as challenging as the BBE one.
And the BBE time pressure, because if the exam would be 4 hours,
but
it
also
will be right.
The competition pressure, because more than 3,000 applicants for 240 spots. Yes, that also plays a part in you being a bit stressed on the day.
That's why you should look for backup options. And if you want to continue on the business part, just go in Vienna. I basically looked up every single business university in Vienna. Maria also has a video about it, because I also like stalked your YouTube channel. And take the time to do your research, and that's a very good alternative.
So thank you all for watching. Basically any first impressions from the first semester, like very briefly, based on 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, I don't know, I was so shocked, first of all, that people here are so smart, in my opinion. Like here they speak at least like 2 languages fluently. Most of them speak 3 actually. I was so surprised, and everyone is from different parts of the world, and you get so many perspectives on life in general. I have friends from like South America, from America, from all over Europe, and it's so interesting to see all of these people combined. And when you have a friend group, an international friend group, it's so nice, and it's so worth it, like fighting to get in, because your education here will be really nice. And also the professors are treating you with respect. You have this, which is not a green screen.
We can touch it.
We should run there. And the facilities WU gives you are really nice. And I think that's my first impression. I just finished like 3 exams. I have the 4th coming up in 3 days, I think. So wish me luck.
So Stefania agreed to make this video, even though her exams were kind of in process. So please like and comment and say thank you to Stefania in the comments.
No hate comments, guys. Thank you. Like as I said, this is my experience. Thank you very much.
And also, so I will also write a little summary of everything that we said in the description, and I also have a summary on my Instagram channel. So don't worry, if you don't have the time to listen to, let's say, around 40 minutes.
I bet all of them will be like 2 speed, just like, and we'll also talk fast, and they're going to be like...
absorbable knowledge. There's going to be a summary down below. And you can also ask me any questions if you have them as you go and as the selection procedure approaches. So thank you a lot for joining.
It was my pleasure to yap for like 2 hours.
And so subscribe and see ya.
Bye, and see you around campus, guys.
Let's go.
Okay, perfect.
Concise. 5 seconds.